Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley. It is Friday, and that means it's almost time for a weekend full of video games, so let us know what you're going to be playing. But before we get to all of that, there's still a lot of news to get through. Like Diablo 3 for the Switch being officially announced, and apparently it's going to run at 60 frames per second. That is according to the folks at Eurogamer who interviewed Blizzard senior producer Pete Stillwell. In addition to 60 frames per second, Stillwell also said the game will have 720p resolution in handheld mode and 960p in docked. Nintendo finally announced that Diablo 3 Eternal Collection was coming to the Switch after it leaked earlier this week by, well, starting with Forbes, but then everyone sort of picked it up because I kind of knew it was coming. They made the official reveal with a fun little video that involved Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé and Blizzard CEO Mike Morhaime. Stillwell said that the release date is tentatively set for the fall, but nothing specific yet. Interesting fact though, this is the first time in 15 years we've seen a Blizzard game on a Nintendo console, so even if you're like, yeah, Diablo 3 is 6 years old, who cares? That's kind of cool that they're getting back together. Speaking of Blizzard games on Switch, Blizzard senior producer Pete Stillwell also said in an interview with GameSpot that Overwatch could theoretically be ported to that console. He was asked if the Switch could handle the game, and he responded that it's feasible. He added, anything is within the realm of possibility. As of right now, Diablo is our only focus on Switch. They also talked about the possibility of something like an RTS, specifically StarCraft 2, coming to the Switch. You might remember a version of the original StarCraft was ported to the Nintendo 64 way back in 2000, but Stillwell didn't sound too keen on that idea. While he said that StarCraft on the 64 was cool, he said it would be pretty difficult to translate the keyboard and mouse controls to a console. Stillwell said, I think that would have been a very difficult port. It would have to change the core gameplay. Not a huge surprise here. RTS games are notoriously tough to bring to consoles. Xbox One did it pretty well with Halo Wars 2. XCOM did a pretty good job. I personally really liked Civilization Revolution, but for the most part, RTS is difficult to get going and feeling good with console controls. So not a huge surprise. But if you were hoping to magically get StarCraft on Switch, don't. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy has been delayed by a couple of months. If you hear anything in the background, it's probably weeping. Yes, weeping. Yeah, I know, everyone's so sad. Jeremy's gutted. He's so sad about it. I feel terrible. In a blog post, Paul Yan, the co-head of developer Toys for Bob, said, we're deeply committed to getting these games right, so they're moving the date to November 13th of this year. You might remember it was initially supposed to come out next month. It was coming September 21st and felt so close. It's still pretty close, just not nearly as close. Yan added, I really hoped that you'd be rescuing dragons and scorching Rhynocs sooner, but the trilogy needs more love and care. In November, when you're exploring the Dragon Realms, Avalar, and the Forgotten Worlds, we know you'll agree the extra time was worth the wait. The trilogy is going to include Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, and Spyro Year of the Dragon, and they're all being remastered for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. There have been a couple of interesting discussions around the remaster, in particular what is actually included on the disc and then what has to be downloaded, so maybe they're sorting some of that stuff out? Not sure. Now it looks like the Switch could be getting another Super Mario game. An older Super Mario game. Following the tradition of porting virtually the entire Wii U library to the Switch, there's a rumor that New Super Mario Bros. U could be coming to the Switch. ComicBook.com reported that the 2D platformer could include the new Super Luigi U DLC in some sort of deluxe edition, which will be nice since Luigi is now dead or whatever. No word on a possible release date. There's been no confirmation from Nintendo just yet, but honestly, it'd be kind of a nice addition to the Switch, especially for the 4-player co-op action and because no one wants to dust off their Wii U again, but hey, there were some fun games on it. Some game developers say Steam is pushing the pause button on games with the so-called questionable content. A poster on Reset Era named Shizuka said they submitted a game to Steam, but they were told it could be months before it was posted in the store. In screenshots, a Valve representative told the developer, we're right in the middle of building some features into Steam for customers to be able to choose the type of products they see in store. We don't have an exact timeline for those features though, so please be patient as we complete the work. It wasn't really clear what type of game Shizuka had submitted to Steam, but the poster claims the delay is hitting visual novels particularly hard. Come on, guys. Some people just want to read their games. and maybe like date them sometimes. Why you gotta make it hard? Mobile gaming's been really good for PUBG. The mobile version of the Battle Royale game's been downloaded more than 100 million times since it was released around 4 months ago. And while PUBG's faded a little bit on consoles and PC in favor of other Battle Royale games like Fortnite, which has just exploded, the mobile game's got more than 14 million daily users. So that's a lot, and it's been making a lot of money too. PUBG's mobile revenues already hit $50 million according to the researcher Sensor Tower. Incidentally, Fortnite's doing really well on mobile as well. Also not a surprise at all, it hit with the 100 million download mark on iOS in July and has been sort of like doing the slow rollout to Android. So keeping in mind that the 100 million just on the one platform is very impressive. After the cancellation of Star's Ash vs. the Evil Dead, actor Bruce Campbell took to the internet to announce, you know what? He was retiring the chainsaw-handed one-liner spewing doofus that shot him to stardom. But he's already kind of backtracking on that a little bit, and we will all benefit. When talking to genre-loving site Bloody Disgusting, Campbell said that while he's hung up the chainsaw, there are still a few previously existing obligations around the character of Ash Williams, the main one being a video game. He admitted he would return to voice Ash for this game because I wouldn't want someone else's voice hamming it up. That's right, only you get to ham it up, Bruce! You're the best. What kind of game is unknown at the moment. The only descriptors to come out of the actor's mouth were obviously from a guy who doesn't really play video games. He called it a whole immersive kind of dealio, which, I don't know, could be smaller VR games set in the Evil Dead universe, a bigger open world kind of game we don't know about yet. Either way, there will be some immersion involved. It won't be the first time someone's made an Evil Dead game either. The very first was a confusing, difficult, but it's still kind of fun game for the original PlayStation called Evil Dead Hail to the King, and that was back in 2000. It was followed by Evil Dead A Fistful of Boomstick in 2003, and Evil Dead Regeneration for the original Xbox in 2005. So, curious to see what they're working on this time. And you know, it's kind of hard to believe. It's been 5 years since Paul Walker's tragic death. He died in a car accident during the making of the 7th film in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Not as part of filming, just while it was filming. And the film's producers decided to keep all the stuff he'd already shot and use CGI to complete his performance, giving his character a fitting exit from the franchise that he helped to start. Now, his brothers are saying they want him to come back for one more cameo. His brothers, Caleb and Cody, were body doubles on Furious 7, and they told the AP they hope that Brian O'Connor comes in to save the day in a future Fast film. The cost associated with that would be astronomical, to say the least, but if there's one franchise that would do it just to give even more props to family that's passed away off screen, it'd be this one. Come on, Fast and Furious can do pretty much anything at this point. We won't get another direct sequel until at least 2020, but Universal's working on its first spin-off, focusing on Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham's characters, Hobbs and Shaw, right now with an aim to release that next year. And finally, some sad news to end on. Sorry to bring you down at the end of a Friday full of news right before you get off to enjoying all the video games, but the Japanese voice actor Unsho Ishizuka has passed away. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, you have almost certainly heard his work in some very, very popular anime and other things. Ishizuka was known for voicing Professor Oak, as well as a number of Pokemon in the Pokemon franchise, as well as Jet Black in the legendary anime Cowboy Bebop. He also provided the voice of Mr. Satan in Dragon Ball Super and Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Ishizuka's been battling esophageal cancer, and he was 67 years old. He is going to be very missed by the industry, both video games, anime, and beyond. So, sorry about that, but how about this? Why don't we all remember him together? Let us know in the comments your favorite voice performance of his.